Chapter 23. Gold Rush Girl. Without saying a word, Sam passed me, and not so much as looking around, started walking fast. I had no choice but to trail after him, hurrying to keep up. As I looked at him, I could see how tense his body was. It seemed as if he wanted to get away from something. Perhaps it was me. Was he angry? He picked his way through the disorder of tents and shacks, as if leading me through a maze. Hoping I could get him to speak, I called out, "Why do you keep playing that song? I often think of writing home." "Wish I were home," he snapped without looking around. He continued on at the same pace until he stopped abruptly and turned around. I could see his eyes shifting as if he were checking to see if we were alone. Apparently satisfied that we were, he said, "That man you were asking about, the one who said he hadn't seen your brother? His name is Cassell, Mr. John Cassell." "Why didn't you say so before?" "My father is fearful of him, and I'm not going to pretend I'm not, too." "Fearful? But why? Who is he?" "Mr. Cassell runs the Mercury. He's our boss. If we say anything bad about him and he hears about it, there's no telling what he'll do. A lot of people around here don't like us." "I don't understand," I said. Momentarily, his eyes shifted away from me. Then he looked right at me and said, "I'm guessing you know that some people don't like Negroes." I wanted to say that wasn't me, but his severe tone and bluntness tied my tongue. I just stared at him, hoping to hear more. "I told you this morning," he went on. "We're from New York State, town of Sag Harbor. It's nothing like San Francisco. It's a small whaling town. There's no slavery in New York. We're free men. My brother and I and other kids went to school and church. Besides, best of all, we roam around, swim, fish, just live. Then my father wanted to try for gold here. He thought he could get rich, like my father. There was a converted whaling ship," continued Sam, "called the General Parsons, coming out from Sag Harbor, one of the early ones. I already sailed on her. We hired on as shipmen and musicians, and as soon as we got here, this past July, the whole crew rushed to the diggings. We went too, but we were run out. Not just us, Mexicans, people from Chile. We had to come back to town with almost no money. There's nothing we could do," Sam went on, "but stay here now, work as musicians until we can save enough money to buy our way back to New York. But direct to New York, you see, safe and sure. No slavery in California, but the problem is we can't just go back east just anywhere. It has to be New York or Massachusetts. It has to be the free states. If we go to the Carolinas, states like that, they might turn us into slaves." I nodded, even as I tried to make sense of it all. "Which is why we work for Mr. Cassell. It's what we have to do to make money. Can you understand all of that?" "I think so," I said, but I was unnerved by this tale. Then I found the voice to say, I'm sorry for your troubles." The words sounded weak to my own ears. I stood there feeling stupid, not knowing what else to say, all too aware that Sam was watching me closely. But then I said, "Do you think this Mr. Cassell knows something about my brother?" "No idea, but I'd trust him like I'd trust a snake with fangs at both ends. Let me tell you something, girl." He paused as if he needed to decide to go on. "This morning," he continued, "after you left, Cassell came back and asked me if I had spoken to a white girl. Said I wasn't allowed to do that." "He did?" "I knew he was talking about you, but no telling what Cassell might do, so I lied, said I hadn't. I hope you can understand that, just trying to protect ourselves. Now I've spoken too much. My father didn't want me to say anything." "Why? I just told you," he said, this time with anger. Then he turned about and said, "Let's go." And once more he began to lead. But it didn't take 5 steps when he once again stopped and faced me. "I'm guessing you have no idea what a crimp is, do you?" I remembered that Jacob had used that word, something about kidnapping, but not being sure, I shook my head. All these ships that come here, like ours, like the General Parsons, soon as they arrive, they lose their crews. The crews head for the gold, so the ships can't go anywhere. Remembering what happened when the Stephanie K reached San Francisco and the whole crew got off, I said, Rotten Row. Exactly, Rotten Row. Ships just sitting in the cove, or like the Mercury, turned into a saloon, which means the captains get desperate for sailors so they can sail back home. They get frantic enough, they come to Cassell. He's a crimp. He feeds drink and drugs to people who are in the Mercury. When they pass out, Cassell sells them to the captain for a crew. He gets good money for each one he hands over. The Mercury, being right on the water, is easy to deliver them. When they wake up, they're at sea. Drugs them, I cried, my heart lurching. Sells them? You never heard it from me. But that's slavery. Don't even try to tell me anything about slavery. White folks think slavery is just about black people. Don't you believe it? But I'll tell you something, Miss Torrey. My father and I, we never eat or drink anything in the Mercury. Too risky. That Mr. Cassell, he suits up fine, but he's as savage as a meat axe. He'd mince his mother up for money. That's why my father told me to say nothing to you, not to protect you, but to protect us. Now that you do know, do us a big favor and keep away. Shocked, I just stood there. Sam, if he noticed my reaction, said nothing, only turned about and started walking again. I hurried after him, but once again he stopped. I'll tell you another thing, he said. If Cassell took your brother, that means it's for a ship that's sailing soon. Soon? I cried. How soon? No idea, but quick. Why? Because the sooner that crimped person gets sailed off, the better. It makes sense, doesn't it? He's gone. No body, no crime. He's vanished. You won't see him again, ever. That's the way Cassell works. I think I might have actually gulped. Are you saying Jacob might already be gone? Not answering, Sam resumed walking, as if to try to get away from what had already been revealed. Over his shoulder, he said, You said you know about the Rotten Row ships, right? I nodded, all but running to keep as close to him as possible. He said, Well, I've heard, and I believe it. It's the crimps hide. It is. The crimps hide the ones they kidnap on one of those empty ships. Who's going to be able to find them there? Can't search all of them, can you? Too many ships to search. Impossible. Cassell hides the one he sold on an empty ship into the last minute before the departing boat sails off. That makes it safe for him. Safe for the captain on the ship. Understand now? Is there anything to do against this Mr. Cassell? You can be sure I'm always trying to think of that. Sometimes when we're playing, he comes back and says, Play such and such for a particular customer. You know what I do? I play it badly. Maybe he'll lose that customer and he'll go off. I know it's not much, but it's something because Cassell holds all the power. Here you go, he said, turning around. You're out of Happy Valley. I couldn't move. But you're telling me my brother might be on one of those rotten ships and is about to be stolen away? I'm not telling you anything. All I know is that's what Cassell does. Altogether stunned, I said, If Jacob is on some Rotten Row ship, there are so many out there. How will I ever find him? Sam held out an open hand. That's just what I'm saying. You probably can't, but if you do go looking, you better work fast, or you can say goodbye to Brother Jacob, because you'll never find him. But I'll thank you, Miss Torrey, not to say one word that I was the one who told you all this, because if you do, I'll put my hand on 12 Bibles and swear that you're lying. Do you understand? Good luck, and do me a favor. Don't come back to the Mercury, and don't come back here to us either. Thank you, I mumbled. as Sam turned and took a step away. Sam, I called after him again. Thank you. He stopped. I said, why did you tell me all this? He looked at me. It's not for you. I hate Cassell. He's a devil in a tall hat. He stole my brother. Gone. Just like I told you. No idea where he is. I'd do anything to work on something against Cassell. Sometimes it feels like he has a whole army and there's just me and my pa, and we're a long way from home. Which, he added fiercely, is why I keep playing that song. Wish I were home. Before I could say any more, Sam disappeared into the jumble that was called Happy Valley, which was not a valley and was not happy.